Hi all. I played a blitz game earlier and someone commented, I suppose rather ungenerously, that it was another pointless exchange tag. I'm just wondering if I'm starting to be a bad influence on people's play out there. So just want to look at the position which I had as black, playing against a Grandmaster, but quite a low rated Grandmaster renewals pairing, 2319, Mr. Pattaya. And I had played Bishop c6, which is fine. It's not leaving e6 unpre because there's the pin on the knight. So my Grandmaster opponent, he played King h1 to break the pin. And here I think that there is an issue with timing, but exchange tactics in principle, it's fine to play the position. And I thought here this knight's actually very good. It's attacking b5. My king's on the b file. So a rook coming to b1, there'll be all sorts of threats, including things like knight b5 potentially, or knight c6, or even queen takes c4 if I'm not careful. So let's have a quick look at that. Well, first of all, what happened in the game, I played rook takes d4, and the timing might not be great here, because if c takes, now I'm looking with Rivka here, actually bishop takes b7, this is the position I was sort of aiming for. The king is much safer, the diagonal is kind of nice for the bishop. Potentially I've got semi-open g-file. So in other words, the exchange stack is playing on a few trump cards in the position, namely this bishop, this g-file, which is about to be peeled open. And Ribka actually likes black, as being slightly better here, minus 0.22. An example continuation, so say rook ab8, sorry, rook ab1, bishop e4, the bishop's, a very nice piece. And here, g takes f4, and black's actually increasing the advantage. It's now minus 1.20, and that's an interesting thing. Sometimes the exchange stack results in creeping compensation that just gets bigger and bigger, because engines have a hard time assessing material values, but the trump cards are working, here for black, the g file and the bishop. So it's starting to evaluate it more and more favourably for black, and if white loses d4, it's getting even worse. So the timing though could have been improved, because so rook takes d4, he played actually check, but believe it or not, even in this variation where white is slightly better now, and I played rook d7 here, which isn't that great, but apparently in this position, well, let's go a bit forward. Even in this position, after g takes, rook takes, this looks fairly critical, but it's only a slight advantage for white. Apparently, I missed a strong move here, queen e3. I played f3, and that really does lose a lot of my assets. These pawns are very important here to try and get working. And after g takes, white has a clear advantage and coasted to a victory. But queen e3 is very interesting as well. And apparently, although black is the exchange down here, this can lead to great trouble for white. For example, in this variation, there's all of a sudden, not only is the bishop quite strong and the rook's kind of dangerous, but b4 is a potential, another further positional sack to try and liberate this pawn. And this is an example continuation where black could end up a lot better after b4. It's starting to be very difficult for white. So, for example, c takes c3, and that's winning for black straight away. e6 is probably more resistance. b takes c3, and this is already minus 1.02 to white, according to Ribka. So I think there was basically a lot of compensation for the exchange stack. But the one thing I will acknowledge that sometimes you've got to get the timing right for it to be as effective as possible. And I remember seeing a game on another channel recently, Kosteniak. She timed this exchange stack to perfection. So when she played it, it was really effective. So I think if there's one thing to bear in mind, if you are going to do exchange stacks in your own game and you want to do them, in the most effective way, sometimes it's the timing. It's not the principle. In principle, rook takes d4 is right, but in the timing here to avoid rook a8. Bishop takes b7, and white removes white's trump cards. For example, rook ab1. If rook takes d4 is not played here, So if you have a refusal to sort of sacrifice exchanges, then it can just lead, to tactical disasters, because this is dangerous for the black king here, and the knight is strong. For example, rook d5. Okay, Rybka is actually giving things like queen takes c4, exploiting that pawn. But if I don't play rook d5, say I played bishop c6, then queen takes c4 is actually a big advantage to white potentially. So I've got to be careful on this b file. So sometimes the exchange sacks are a natural way to relieve, a lot of latent pressure from the opponent and play on your trump cards. So in other words, destroy the opponent's assets, positional assets, and increase your own. So I just wanted to say something about this. And if you are going to use them in your game, sometimes timing is actually crucial, quite important to maximize their effectiveness. So here, after king h1, bishop takes b7 first is a lot better, and then rook takes d4. Black is just fine here, I think. Okay, please leave any comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.